Is it permissible for a woman to enter the masjid and musalla during her period to sit in the back and listen to the imam reciting the Quran during salah? There is a difference of opinion. The vast majority of scholars, they say that no, it is not permissible for her to do so. Some scholars, they allow it. They do qiyas on the one who's passing through the masjid in a state of janaba. But janaba is something that there's more control over versus hayd, right? Hayd, you're restricted to it. There's a time restriction to it.
If 3 to 5 sisters are praying in jama'ah, should the one leading in the salah stand on the far left? No, she stands in the middle. She stands in the middle. I believe this is the Hanbali position, and I believe there's one more madhab. I don't remember, but 2 of the madhab, they allow women to lead, and if women lead, she leads by standing in the middle. So she's going to be standing in the same row. Versus men, with the men, you have one man who stands in front of them and he leads, but with the women, she would be standing in the same row with them. A couple of days ago, there was a question about Salat Ibrahimiyya and the first tashahhud. What was the answer? It was too loud to hear. So Salat Ibrahimiyya, it does not invalidate the prayer if you do it in the first tashahhud, but it is not encouraged. An individual should just do At-Tahiyyatu Lillahi wa Salatu wa Tayyibat. That's it. That's all they should do in the first tashahhud. And in the second tashahhud, they do Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. But it should not be done in the first tashahhud. If it is done, the prayer is still valid. Can you please stress the importance of keeping the lines straight during salah? The sisters always seem to mess it up. There are lines on the floor. Please follow the lines. Put your ankles on the line. That is the easiest way to keep the row straight. If you put your toes on the line, the row will not be as straight because everybody has different feet sizes. So please put your ankles on the line, inshallah, and your rows will be straight. Assalamu alaikum. If anyone says talaq 3 times to his wife in intense anger and pressure, and after he rejoins his wife in the next few days, has the divorce occurred? So I don't know anyone who divorces his wife and he's happy with her, right? Usually you're going to be upset when you divorce his wife. The only difference, the problem is that many people will cite this saying that, okay, and talaq ghadban. Talaq ghadban, it doesn't mean someone who's angry, right? It doesn't mean someone who's just generally angry. Obviously, when the divorce is happening, the person is upset. Talaq ghadban, idha ma kuntu wa'i. Like, so sometimes people reach a state of rage where they're just saying things and they don't know what they're saying. If an individual is in that state, he's not just not accountable for like the talaq, he's not accountable for the other things that he says either. But there's a very unique and a very specific situation. If I know what it is that I'm saying, then I'm accountable for what I say. When it comes to the issues of talaq, when it comes to the issues of divorce, there's no mazh either. There's no joking. Even if a person says that they divorced, like you're divorced, and they say, no, I'm joking, the talaq yaqa, it still counts. So, and the reason for this is that divorce is not a game, right? Divorce is not a game. It's not. It's meant to be taken very seriously. And the person will be like, oh, I was angry. I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you an entire dictionary, right? Like you have an entire dictionary of words that you could have chosen, and this is the word you decided to choose. Don't do that. It's very childish. It's very childish. It's very immature. This is not the role of a man is to be the leader, and you have to set proper boundaries. Like we all have to set proper boundaries as men. And setting proper boundaries as men is not warning our wives with talaq, right? Because it's not a game. It's not a game at all. You say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set very clear steps to reconcile. I don't need to follow every one of those steps, but the step 1 should never be, I'm going to divorce you, right? Because the more we warn, whether it be children or whether it be our wives with something, what is the value of that warning? It gets weaker. So if I keep telling, I'm going to divorce you, and then next week I'm going to divorce you, or I'm going to divorce you, I keep doing that, it loses its value, and not just that, the wife will stop respecting the husband. And this is going to destroy the marriage anyway. Don't use, divorce is not meant to be a tool for warning. It's not. It's not meant to be a tool for punishing. This is not a punishment. Tafadhal, Said. This is another issue, inshallah, I'll talk about it. But let me complete this, and then because these two are related. Number 1, a person who divorces their wives 3 times in one majlis, or while she's on her period, this is called talaq bid'i. A person is going to have a special sin for doing that at a time and in a place where he is not allowed to do that. So what are the situations an individual cannot divorce his wife? If he was intimate with her, he is not allowed to divorce her after. ما يجوز. This is not permissible, and there's a ithim, there's a sin upon him. He has to wait until she starts her cycle. Then when she gets clean from her cycle, she is eligible to be divorced at that point. And look at the time frame, like subhanAllah. Just imagine if she comes off her cycle, a husband is intimate with his wife, he has to wait like what, almost 2-3 weeks before he's able to, or before she's eligible to divorce. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give opportunities for reconciliation, and sometimes these opportunities, we have to think before we make such decisions. But is it fair that week one, I'm intimate with her and I say, hey, I'm going to divorce you, and she's sitting there waiting 3 weeks, saying that, oh, I know that he's going to release me now. This is not how relationships are meant to be. This is not how we are supposed to treat our wives. If I have a problem with her, I tell her. I say, I don't like it when you spoke to me like this. I don't like it when you say this. I don't like it when this happens. How are we going to reconcile this? How are we going to deal with it? Sometimes you can reconcile, and sometimes you say, you know what, I don't think this is going to work, and that's fine too, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Is it preferred that a couple stays together? Absolutely. And this is something that is preferred. Is it always the solution? No, it's not always the solution. If talaq, if divorce was not meant to be a solution, Allah would not have given it as an option. Very simple. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not have given it as an option. It was not meant to be a solution. And divorce is not a judgment of the husband or wife. It's not. It's not a judgment of how good or bad the husband is or how good or bad the wife is. It's a judgment of the relationship. And sometimes the relationship isn't good. Sometimes the relationship isn't healthy. And divorce helps remedy the relationship. The man can be very good. The woman can be very good. Like subhanAllah, I remember a couple very clearly. They came in and he was like, I want to stay married, and she doesn't want to stay married, so I came in because I'm agreeing to the divorce. And then they started arguing who's going to pay the divorce fees. It's somehow and the thing, I wasn't happy about it. Nobody likes seeing a divorce. But the only reason I'm sharing this story is that you have people. They're good people. They're just not good together. And this is important to keep in mind, that sometimes this does happen. Even marriage is a choice. We make everything, like we wake up and we make a choice. I'm going to stay married, right? It's an active choice that we make every single day. And if we make that choice, if my wife takes care of me and she cleans, she takes care of the kids and she's cooking, blah, blah, and I'm providing for her and I'm taking her to the home, she doesn't have to worry about expenses. This is enough to show that we care about each other, and we should continue making the relationship work. If there are there going to be problems? Yes, I promise, right? I guarantee that there are going to be problems. As long as you have two people living together, there are going to be problems. How do we deal with those problems? This is the sign of maturity. This is a sign of an adult. This is a sign of someone who has, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given and blessed them wisdom with. If I have an issue with my wife, I talk to her. If my wife has an issue with me, she comes and she talks to me. And who should I not get advice from? If I have a problem with my wife, I go talk to my mother and my father. That's a terrible idea. They're always going to side with me, right? Well, except maybe my parents. They always side with her. But for a wife to go talk to her parents, it's usually not a good idea. It's usually not a good idea because the parents, very naturally, they're going to be biased toward their child. It's natural. Like we all want to protect our children. Even we have situations in the masjid, it's like, these kids, they're causing problems and they're causing these issues. We should do something about this. And then it's like, Yahi, but it's your son. Forgive them, Yahi. Please overlook it. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. We do that. We have that. We have that softness, that we have that rafa, that for our children. We always try to give them that preference. But go to people, go to third parties who actually don't have an investment in the marriage, so that they can give some more objective advice. But we have to make sure that we learn how to navigate that relationship. Divorce is not a tool of warning. Right? It's like, okay, if you do this, I'm going to divorce you. Or if you're going to do that, I'm going to divorce you. Like, why, ya ikhwan? If you don't want to be married to her, just be honest. Don't play these games. It's not fair. And if you want to maintain the relationship, this is not a way to earn her respect. Like we should lead with love. We should not lead with fear. We should lead with respect. We should not lead by inciting these things. Nobody appreciates that. Nobody appreciates that. Just imagine every time, like the wife does that, the opposite. Like, if you do this, I'm gonna go to the imam. I'm gonna ask for a fasq. I'm gonna ask for an annulment. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to work to maintain the marriage. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq.